the fact that some people have just been very, ooh. Alright, so hey everybody, it's Smiley. I'm back today for another video. So this is gonna be kind of like a quick opinion piece, I guess is what you could call it. So I don't really have a place here at my parents' house to like sit down and talk to you all. I don't have a couch necessarily to sit down and talk to you all, at least not without having TV and like a lot of other stuff going on. So it's quiet in my old bedroom. So I'm just in my old bedroom right now, and I'm just coming on to talk to you all about some current stuff that's been going on, because really I do like to talk about, or at least would like to talk about, some of the current events that are happening. So one of the things I want to mention about is, I feel like people, and I know I'm not the only one, I feel like people should honestly just leave Simone Biles alone. I think that it's, you know, when it initially happened and she just dropped out of the competition, obviously everybody was shocked, surprised, dismayed or whatever, because obviously we wanted to see her perform, to go out there and see her work her magic like she always does. And so when that didn't happen, and then after she decided to kind of take a step back and remove herself, a lot of people got mad, they got angry, started taking things personally, trying to call people weak-minded, all these other very negative things that I'm not going to bother to repeat. But more or less, the thing about it is, none of us have been, most of us have never been in her shoes. We've never been, well, none of us have been in her shoes, but most of us have not been to an Olympics or had to compete on that type of level. And I mean, anytime that you're in any kind of sport or anything that's competitive, there's automatically some pressure there. There's automatically going to be some level of weight that you feel on you to perform, do your best, whether it's to help your team get the best scoring to win, or if you are, like if you're in a tennis competition, it's you against the other person, so it's pressure on you to be at your very best, at your peak performance against that person. Whereas with a team, it's a little more, everybody's at some level equally responsible for the team scoring and potentially winning a game. So anyway, I think that people have been putting more value on medals, and like, you know, we want gold, we're the US, we're supposed to get gold. We've been getting gold in women's gymnastics for X amount of years, and so somehow we feel this entitlement that we have to get gold, and not really not acknowledging that at the end of the day, like, it's just a medal, and ultimately it's these people like Simone, like Jade Carey, like Suni Lee, Grace, behind these teams and behind these awards. They're not robots. They don't go out and perform because you tell them to go and perform. You snap your fingers and they go out and they do what they're supposed air quotes to do. So that is something that we just have to keep in mind. And it's honestly, it's great to know that there are a lot of people that side with her and say, you know, her mental health is very important. Like, that's the main thing. We're concerned about you and your health. Because the thing about it is, okay, she goes, she wins the award. So within the next few years, we have our next Olympics. So now, let's say she was retired by then. Well, I mean, people are obviously still going to be acknowledging her, what she's done for Olympics, for gymnastics, what she's done for minorities, for black people in gymnastics. People are going to be acknowledging everything that she's done to contribute to the sport. But at the same time, once she is retired, whenever that is, then people are going to be looking at whoever that next gymnast is to go out there and get the gold. So it's kind of like the work environment. Let's say you quit your job. They're not going to be crying. They're not going to be begging to have you back. if you are fired, like here, they can fire you for any reason. If they fire you, they're gonna have somebody taking your spot the very next day. Like, they can't even cut your credentials off fast enough before they've had somebody else that they're hiring or interviewing. So it's kind of like that. Like, you know, you go out there, you get yourself injured, people are just gonna, oh, you know, they're gonna be like shocked when it happens. They're gonna send their thoughts and prayers like they always do, and then they're gonna move on to the next person. And that is just how it works. And so in that type of environment, number one, you need to make sure that you take care of yourself. Other people might not be happy. Other people might be upset that you decide to take a step back and take care of yourself. But at the end of the day, you're doing it for you, because you have to live with yourself. If you get hurt, if you go out there and you get injured, like, you're the one that's going to have to live with that injury, and or have to get surgery and or therapy to recuperate from it. So I think that she is absolutely doing the right thing. And I wish that people out there that are making jokes, like Michael Che, for example, no taste at all. People doing things like that is very disrespectful, and they need to be a lot more considerate of people and think of people as humans. This is not a joke. This isn't funny. This is serious. You know, gymnastics is not a joke. Sports is not a joke. Like, people go out there and they get sometimes life-ending injuries and life-threatening injuries, and it's just like, you know, it's not a walk in the park. As easy as she makes those stunts look, like if you go back and you look at videos of her, as easy as she makes these stunts look, one, they're not easy, and two, they're also very dangerous. It's like, gymnastics is not just something you just pick up one day and you start doing. It takes years of practice. And so the fact that people are almost like trying to belittle it, we all saw her perform. There were instances where she either kind of took a step out instead of sticking her landing. She kind of took steps out. She stepped out of bounds. She was still able, which I noticed someone mentioned, that she was able to land on her feet, which shows how much skill and how much experience she has. But we all know that that's obviously not her top tier performance, and we know that. And of course, as people have put pressure on her, she's also putting pressure on herself. You know, she wouldn't have gotten this far in her gymnastics career if she was not pushing herself. She wouldn't have moves named after her if she was not pushing herself. So obviously she is her own critic as well. She's a critic of herself and her own work. And so I think that people need to back off of her and not be so critical, and just remember that at the end of the day, she's still a human. She's still a person. She has flaws just like everybody else. She has bad days. She has bad days. She has days where her performance might not be at her peak. And I think that people need to allow her to make those mistakes and allow her to say, okay, well, you know, this is not me. This is not my top tier. This is not my premier performance that I want to showcase. And so I need to take a step back for my own mental health, to kind of get everything together, to kind of figure out what's going on and try to resolve it. So the fact that some people have just been very, you know, some people have been very antagonistic and nasty to her is so uncalled for. We don't get the medal, whatever, what's gonna happen? Like, and people are taking it so personally. People are getting mad. We're getting mad, and probably are still somewhat mad or whatever about it. And it's just like, well, what about us winning and or losing a medal? What about that affects you in your life? So we lose a medal, now what? You know, the girls went ahead and it was very strong, and I think that they had a very good performance. But you know, they were able to win a medal. They got silver, and you know, they were able to pull it together. They were able to work as a team. They were able to put forward, a lot of them, you know, because when you have somebody that's a big player like that kind of step back or take a step back, it does force other people to step up to the plate. And so I think that that was a good thing, that the rest of the team was able to step up to the plate. You had some people like Jordan Childs who had to jump in and do some different routines. Jade Carey had to jump in and do some other routines as well. I think she did. Jade Carey ended up doing the floor routine, which I guess she probably would not have done. And then Jordan Childs ended up doing the beam, I believe, which she wouldn't have done. So it, you know, it gave them kind of like that push to do things and, you know, work on things that maybe they probably wouldn't have done or wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this particular Olympics. So it really kind of pushed them outside of their envelope, and it also gave them an opportunity to shine and for people to kind of get to know them and get to know their names, because some of these girls will probably be back for the next Olympics and we'll know who they are. So, and we can celebrate them. But anyway, that is my thought. Those are my thoughts on that people just need to give it a break, give it a rest. These are medals. Like, she's proven herself. This whole thing that people like trying to tear her down all of a sudden is like dumb. As people say, they will build you up and break you down as well. So the thing about it is just being yourself. Know that you're being genuine to who you are. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Anybody else with that level of pressure, most of us would probably break down and have a fit and wouldn't even know what to do. Probably couldn't even go out there and perform. So I mean, if she's shaking, like she said she was kind of shaking and different things, like that wasn't really normal for her, and saying that she didn't trust herself, those are things you recognize, those signs, and you say, okay, the mature thing to do, because I've heard some people call her immature, but the mature thing to do in that situation is to say, okay, well, I need to kind of separate myself from this way. People always have something to say, so people are always going to talk. So do what you need to do for you. And self-care is important. It's something that I've posted about on my page several times, about just taking care of yourself. You know, knowing when you're getting to a certain level, because everybody gets stressed, and just knowing that once you reach a certain level, you're like, okay, well, I need to do something else, get my mind off of whatever it is that I'm doing and come back to it later if it's something that you have to do.